I want to tell a story of some folks that are creating a new community of practice, because higher education has a wicked problem around opportunity cost and learning spaces. When Malcolm introduced us to seeking evidence of impact a couple of years ago in Anaheim, he articulated how we need to do a better job of providing our campus leadership with good data to make good technology investment decisions. It was shortly thereafter that ELI had launched the effort with the Learning Space Rating System to create a standard to measure design effectiveness similar to how LEED measures environmental sustainability to help meet future challenges. About the same time that this effort was getting launched, our SUNY provost asked his advisory group to find ways to be more forward-thinking in classroom renovation processes. So we launched the Learning Environments Task Group. And we had all the right people around the table. We had the SUNY Construction Fund, faculty, librarians, instructional technologists, instructional designers, and IT specialists who all began to ask some mighty tough questions, like, how do we measure return on investment? How can we do a better job of sharing information with each other? And when we do share that information, are we even using the same terms among our disciplines? Is the instructional designer using the same term as the IT person? We knew that renovation cycles weren't being agile enough. We weren't turning projects around quickly enough. But perhaps most importantly, how do we use traditional learning spaces to capture content digitally so that can be repurposed for all different types of applications so we can help our faculty with that? So we need designs that are going to support active learning and collaboration, so we knew we needed some type of community approach to solve this issue. So our Learning Environments Task Group got together with ArtStore and developed a prototype. And that prototype, ArtStore, of course, is a not-for-profit digital content service. And this was a proof of concept project named the SUNY Innovative Instruction Space Repository. Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? So you can see off to the side all of the repository information. It's tough to see in this slide. And this is just one of many views. And ArtStore's shared shelf product now supports video in that space as well. The goal is to create and expand this prototype into a sustainable, reliable, and consistent service to all of education. Here's some additional screenshots. We believe that this will be a sustainable process through shared governance and a solid business model that can make peer-reviewed assets available openly to all of education at a very, very modest cost. How are we going to do that? Well, by adopting the ELI rubric, we can get a good start, but at the base we have ArtStore's shared shelf. On top of that, we've got Merlot that already has, Merlot stands for the Multimedia Educational Resource for Learning and Online Teaching. It's one of the granddaddies of peer-reviewed learning object repositories. They have a well-established shared governance and partnership model that can be adapted to our FlexSpace solution. And we already spoke about the Learning Space Rating System. The Consortium of Colleges and University Media Centers, CCUMC, is a national organization specializing in design and supportive technology classrooms. Their membership includes education technologists, instructional designers, and media librarians, and they'd like to see this solution available to their membership. Finally, at the top of the triangle, we have the entire education community. We'd like to make this prototype, expand the prototype and make it available to K through 12 higher education, museums, educational foundations, and other non-commercial education interests in general. The FlexSpace vision document that we've detailed already has a pretty well-defined timeline, but this chart summarizes our target milestones. Right now, we're on the FlexSpace listening tour. We're 5 for 5 with our proposals being accepted, and we certainly didn't expect to be here today. This is a real pleasure. So we'll be going out and we'll be gathering information from people, and then we'll start to formalize our community. But we're going to combine people and content to realize all the strategic goals that are being defined through seeking evidence of impact. And then we'll get down to business operations. So the business operations We know from our committed group of stakeholders that the communication's the first key component, so that's the listening tour. And then we need to model our governance. We need to create an advisory board that's going to define levels of partnership or sponsorship so people know what to expect when they become involved in the project. The partnership levels can be thought of as the slices in the triangle, the key stakeholders that are going to help drive the project. Sponsorship levels might define how vendors or organizations outside of education can help support the effort. So let's think about a couple of examples here. Let's assume that you're working in a law school and your dean comes to you and says, I want to renovate some space. So the vision is you can go into what is now the prototype, do a keyword search, and get all sorts of good information back on what other law schools are doing that would be full of peer-reviewed content with a rating system that you could go back and provide that information, dive into it at a fairly granular level, and say, this is a direction I think we ought to consider moving in. Another example along the lines of vendor support might be a major furniture manufacturer who might want to pull or be able to take a client into this system and say, here's what our furniture looks like in several different types of applications. So we're hoping to have a sponsorship from a number of different organizations that might want to pick up some of the heavy cost and offset some of the service in general. Although we do have committed stakeholders and we think we can cover the actual cost of the hosting service right now. Ultimately, we need your feedback, but we think we're going to need a full-time staff person. And somehow or the other, we need to come up with a business model because we're all in education. We all know how to get creative with applying people's times and roles. But the bottom line is we really need to have a sustained effort to make this work. Now, we might be able to embed embed the staffing into one of the organizations, one of the partner organizations that have already committed to the project. And ideally, we'd like to have some kind of e-commerce website set up to self-manage subscriptions and be able to link to all sorts of other different information out there from the system. We need committed people to help us realize this service. If you think you see value in this, my email is up there. It would be terrific if you could put flex space in the subject header. This is where we are in a snapshot in time. I'm representing a whole team of people. I wanted to put some of their names up there because they represent the organizations in the current effort. And if you were to do a search on YouTube and plug in CCUMC and innovative instruction, space, you're going to get a 45 much better articulated presentation than what I'm providing here right now. That really goes into a lot of detail and shows how the prototype functions nicely. And the second link down at the bottom also details all of the core documentation, the original work that was done out of SUNY. So I think that's about it. Thank you.